हैं बादा मस्त बादा आशा में अहमदियत चलता है दौर मीना ओ जाम अहमदियत.
Okay, guys, and now we're going to go to our talk for today, Khudam Talks. And every week we try to bring a special guest on. And today, again, we are very blessed to have another young Murabbi whose name is Mubashar Zafri Sahib. Zafri Sahib is also my classmate. We spent 7 years together, but we've known each other from before that. But Jama just strengthened our relationship. Zafri Saab currently is working in the e-learning department, which is concentrating on developing the Jamia course into more electrical, so that people can learn through different forms of electronic devices. So it's a pleasure to have you on, Zafri Saab. Jazakallah for joining us all the way from Deer Park in London. How are you?
Jazakallah, Jazakallah for having me on. Yeah, it's a pleasure being here and speaking to you guys. So yeah, as you've probably guessed it, I am in my office in Deer Park. Sorry for the little cluster at the back. We are renovating the old offices,
Yeah.
so you might see some stuff all over the place. So I'm just apologizing for that. But so it's as you mentioned, Rabsab, you said that we're having this talk and we're going to be talking about Jamia, how Jamia has impacted our lives, and also you asked me if I could speak a bit about calligraphy. So so I'm quite excited and also very pleased to be here and speaking to all the brothers that are online today. So assalamu alaikum to all of you guys. Hope that I don't cause any boredom to you guys, and I hope that you'll enjoy the next, I think, 45 minutes or so of our talk.
Of course,
Inshallah.
definitely. We can. Well, trust me, I'm sure everyone will learn to love you, especially in this talk. The reason why we call it, young Murabbis is because we want people to know that we're just like them. It's just we've
Yeah,
chosen a different career, but our career is more impacting upon Jamaat related works. But
yeah,
at the same time, we're still young. We're still interested in all the things that everyone else is interested in. But this is a good platform for us to get to know you all. So we're going to get to know Zafri today. Zafri, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your upbringing. Where were you born? What school you went to, and what were your interests while you were a young lad in
when
London?
I was once upon a time when I was a young lad, yeah. I like to think that I'm still young, but but yeah. So I was born in fact I was born in Germany, like a lot of Germans that have moved to the UK. I was amongst those people who were born in Germany and then migrated, as you can say, to the UK. I was 8 years old when I moved here, so a lot of my prime has been spent in the UK. So initially we moved to East London. We were in Walthamstow, so I studied there till year 8. So I was there. I done my primary school there, and then I went to Aveling Park School. That got closed down. It basically merged with another school, so they made a massive academy. So by that time, I had moved to Bedford area, so Sutton, which is a neighbouring um, council or neighbouring town or place to Morden. So I initially went to Coombe Boys, which is in a different borough because we were, I came during the middle of the year, so I had to go there. I was there till year 9, then I finally went to Glenthorne till my GCSEs, and then after GCSEs, then went to Jamia. So growing up, I had always, liked art. I mean, whether it was abstract art, whether it was, just painting, sketching. So all this kind of stuff was sort of my interests.
You're one
And
of those
yeah,
guys who draw on the notebooks in
oh
class.
yeah, that I was that kind of person. I'm still that kind of person. I've got books here in. I've got one of this notebook. This example here. Like now, I just doodle around calligraphy, but like this is like my personal notebook that I take notes on, small notes, and more than my notes, I've got sketches. So like I've got like this stuff on here that I just jot around,
Yeah.
play around with stuff. So I'm still, old habits go away really,
Things you used to
take
get
a
told
lot.
off in school for you're still doing them.
No, I mean I had, I had some troubles with teachers, telling me that your work's not neat. You've got you've rather than doing the work, you've just doodled around. And of course, that time I was doodling around other stuff. So I would be just, drawing either the classroom or someone from the class or a teacher or something. It might sound a bit creepy, but yeah, that's how it was. I would just draw whatever, and it wasn't like precise art, so it was just more of an abstract art, quick sketches. So I was interested in that. Then I was also interested in maths. Some people don't find maths that attractive, but I was always attracted to maths because it was I like puzzles and mysteries and puzzle solving. So that was the sort of thing that would kind of challenge me. And because of all of that, I had an inclination towards architecture as well. I liked seeing massive buildings and just the dynamics of how everything was put together, the maths and science behind it. I was always interested by that sort of thing, but also at the same time I had a bit of an inclination towards Jamia as well, since being Waqf Noor, of course, that is always sort of, you're reminded of it, that you're a Waqf Noor and you have to serve Jamaat, and the best way to do that is of course becoming a Murabbi. And my parents were very, I wouldn't say adamant, but they were very it was their desire that I would go to Jamia. So yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, how does a young boy from Germany grew up in different parts of London, East London as well? You know about East London. We know about the boys there. The boy scribbling on his notebooks. How does that kind of kid decide to go to Jamia? And
I think
when you go to Jamia, did you still carry those same passions into Jamia, or did you have to let go of everything?
No, I think Jamia is not a place where it's not like a place where it tells you to just get rid of your passions and desires and wishes. I think it's again, it's a development process. You develop as a person, and wherever you go, whether it's uni, whether it's college, whether it's any other part of the world, any other sort of institute, it just builds. You build your personality. You build as a person. You develop so many different skills, and that's what Jamia is as well. And of course, you're there to develop your spirituality. You're there to learn about faith, and of course to defend faith. So it's just a different sort of place, but by no means does it tell you to get rid of your desires. Of course, if desires are in line with Quranic teachings and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet and with the Jamaati values, then of course there's nothing wrong with it. But of course, if there's something that goes against the moral principle of the Jamaat and Islam and morality, then of course you have to kind of let go of it. But that's kind of understood when you want to go down that path. But again, you don't have to go down that path to spiritually enhance yourself. It just gives you a bit of a more of a understanding, I would say, when you go to Jamia. But of course, you don't know these things before you go to Jamia. Yeah, because 16 years old, you just come, as you were saying, that you're a little kid, unaware of the world, and here you are sitting in Jamia. How does that happen? Everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own reason. Everyone has their own a tale to tell, that this is the reason why I came to Jamia. And for me, it was growing up, it was always the sort of thing that Jamia is something that I would want to do. But I think when I was in school, or at least when I was in the final parts of GCSE, I kind of was more inclined towards architecture and architectural engineering, something that I had developed some sort of passion, you can say, or some sort of interest in that. And I think I was drifting more towards that than anything else. And of course, our Jamaat has all has this beautiful system of khilafat where you can go and seek guidance, and this is what we done. We went to Mulaghat as a family. I was going to present what I desired to do, and before I could even say that as well, I want to go down that route, or this is what I'm thinking. Hazur himself asked, so Maulvi, he said, so you go to Jamia then? And God knows how and what happened, but I said yes. Just coincidentally said yes, without realizing what I was getting into. anyways, came out of the mulaqat very distressed and quite confused that, I've just given up, I've just said yes to Hazur. And of course, that's not what I went for. I wanted to get guidance, and I just gave, I just blew everything away. So I decided that I'm going to write a letter to Hazur, explaining everything that, Hazur, this is what I want to do, and so forth. Anyways, I was still, just thinking about it, what I should do, what would be the best plan of action, when there was a class with Hazur, the Vakfino classes, Gulshan and Vakfino, and in that class, Hazur asked a question. I raised my hand, and Hazur said that I'm not going to be asking you because you're going to Jamia. So I was very confused, and I was like kind of taken back by this response. So I went back, and of course the parents had seen the class, and the mum said one thing. She said, now that Hazur has mentioned it twice, it's clear that Hazur's desire is that you go to Jamia. So forget everything else and just, go down the route where Hazur wants you to go. So from there, then of course went down to Jamia, and alhamdulillah, blessed to come out.
Whatever happened. Your story, Zafri, your story
yeah,
reminds me
whatever happened for the best, man.
Your story reminds me of I think you guys know him, Murabbi Azhar Hanif Sahib, who was his Naib Amir, a mission in charge of USA. When I was speaking to him, he basically told me that before Jamia, I used to love playing basketball. Basketball was my passion. In fact, I wanted to go into the NBA, and he was going to go into it, and he was that good. And when he made this decision to go to Jamia, he thought, okay, I need to completely, kill my previous life. My past needs to be finished. I need to start fresh. But at the same time, he always had that feeling in his heart that, I still want to play basketball. I still want to be doing what I love doing. And just before going, Khalif Rab actually informed him that make sure you bring your basketball shoes with you, because I want you to train the Rabwa team and make them the best team that's alive in Pakistan. And that's what basically gave him that elating feeling that this is what Ahmadiyyat is. This is why I love my Khalifa, is because he knows exactly what I love, and he wants me to harness and take that into Jamia. And so he went to Jamia. He trained the Pakistan Rabwa team in Jamia, and he made them the best team that's alive, that was there. And even to this day, they're still following that tradition. So when I heard your story, and I was fortunate enough, to be sitting in the same room, because we can't really escape each other. And in the first year, we're sleeping 17 people in one room. So we knew what each other were doing. So Zafri, when you picked up your pen, I was there. I could see that this guy is going to make it. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us that beginning, when you started, doing calligraphy in Jamia.
Yeah, I think Jamia, you think of Jamia sometimes, from an outsider's perspective, sometimes it might look daunting, but 6 days a week you're staying there with your family, with these people that you've never met before, or you've never stayed with them longer than few hours. Now you're there spending 7 years with them. It seems quite frightening and quite daunting as well. Going into Jamia, you might think, oh my gosh, I'm going to stay there. Oh my god, I'm not going to be there with my family. Oh my, you have all these predicaments, these fears, these thoughts. But one thing that I've realized is that, going to Jamia and spending a big portion of my life that I've lived up to now, I'm only 25. So a good, quarter of my life I have spent with, more than a quarter of my life I've spent with these 17 boys that I've lived with, right? And so in those 7 years, that bond with each and every single person in that class, in that room, has become of that nature that, even, we can, both of us can testify to the fact that, outside of these events and stuff, we call each other, speak to each other, ask each other. And, it's like a brotherly bond that, friendship can't get to. It's more than a friendship group. It's more like, brothers. And of course, whenever we have problems, issues, we turn to each other. That's a sort of the trust and relationship that we've built within those 7 years. Of course, and it's a massive family, when, now that most of our class or people from our class have, are married off, they have kids, and it's when they have kids and when they have, when their families grow, you feel this love and feel this warmth inside you that you can't explain. It's like your own brother has had the child. It's that sort of happiness that you feel, and it's just it's so hard to describe to people who haven't felt it. And it's not just it's not confined to your class only. There's other relationships that you make with other boys in your in Jamia. You make friends with other people. Some people serve as older brothers, some serve as younger brothers, some serve as your colleagues in work. There's so many things that you do in Jamia. It's so much more than just studies. You have these massive you have these groups where you're doing football, you're doing basketball, you're doing badminton. You develop so many skills in Jamia that you're more than just a missionary. You're in fact you're able to organize things, and as we see today, efforts made by Missionary Sahib to organize these events. These are things that you pick up in Jamia from different events, and subconsciously you're picking up these skills without even realizing that these are things that you will be using in your future. So of course, before you're talking about calligraphy, it wasn't a thing that I was doing before Jamia. It was something that I picked up whilst I was in Jamia, and I think it kind of rooted from the desire of doing art or having an interest in art. And one thing that I used to do was before Jamia was sort of graffiti on paper. I used to graph around on paper and just just draw up stuff, sketches, doodle, just words and just general graffiti. And of course, people who appreciate the graffiti art, they know that people might think that graffiti art is actually something that has a very negative or is stigmatized within our community or even amongst the general populace. But from an artistic point of view, graffiti is one of the most eloquent and intricate intricate arts that you can find. The use of color, the use of shape, the use of space, the use of the dimensions are so vast that it's incredible. So this is something that would fascinate me before Jamia, and I would sort of practice it in my books and things here and there. But when I went to Jamia, I just felt, and of course I was doing these sketches of people and stuff, and sooner or later I realized that, or I was kind of stopped by one of the teachers saying that Islam doesn't promote sketching faces of people. It's something that's not practiced, so you should sort of avoid it. But of course, the innate thing that I had of art, I could not just kind of relinquish myself from it and extinguish the fire and desire of doing art. So I started looking at, I came across some calligraphy pages, and that was it. I pretty much kind of hooked onto that and sort of I saw it as a lifescape for myself. That this is something that I would like to go into and pursue. And alhamdulillah, the support that I got from my fellow students and my classmates, my brothers, was phenomenal. Of course, they I was doing stuff, and they would always be like, "Hey, you're doing quite well. You're doing well. You can carry on. You can do this. You can do that." And that really benefited me because I knew that I wasn't just doing something and being, totally delusional about calligraphy. This was something that I could actually do. And I think my classmates urged me to do something for His Holiness, for Hazur Ahmad. And at that moment, that seemed such a big thing that, I'm this amateur who doesn't know anything, yet my classmates think that I'm good enough to do something for Hazur. So I remember in the very first year, I made something. I remember it was Alaysa Allahu bikafin abduhu, and I made a painting of it. And I presented it to Hazur Ahmad, and Hazur very graciously accepted it, and it was placed in the PS office. But then, of course, as I was practicing more and more and more, I realized that that piece wasn't even that great. It was just not satisfying for me. And I felt really, really ashamed of making something so terrible. So I stopped taking, I decided that I'm not going to take anything to Hazur because it's just, Hazur is of such a high status and, my weak self. How can I even, dare take something so, meaningless, and I want to say meaningless, but so unprofessional and something that doesn't look great to His Holiness. So I kind of stepped away from it. So I continued practicing for 2-3 years. In my third year, I thought that maybe now I can do some justice and get some feedback from Hazur. So I wrote something and took it to Hazur. And Hazur saw it and he said that now that you come, take this back, but now every time that you come to see me, make sure you write something up for me and show it to me. So this was sort of the encouragement that I needed, and this is the greatest encouragement I've had. You realize with Khilafat that the Khalifa of the time has a very wide scope of understanding, and his imagination, his foresight is beyond anyone else in the world. You might see, impossibilities from every angle. You might get told that you can't do this, you're not good enough from every person in the world. And there is your Khalifa who believes in you and tells you that no, you can do this. And he gives you the support that you need. And I think that's the greatest thing that we Ahmadis have, the greatest blessing, living this day and age. Out of billions of people in the world, our community can truly say that we've got a leadership that guides us and, anchors us to the right path. And it's a blessing that we should ponder over every single day, because the only reason, even today, the reason why we are here together is because of that unity that Khilafat establishes. So one thing that I would say definitely for the benefit of my brothers is that wherever life takes you, wherever you might be in your life, whether you are in a high or in a low, whether you feel distant from reality or you feel distant from your religion, just remember that there is one person out there in the whole world who loves you. Despite your weaknesses and your, or the negative things that you might think about yourself, the reasons why you give others to hate you, even despite those things, this person loves you, and he gets up every night to pray for you. And when you write letters to him, it's such a miraculous thing that things that seem impossible, they become possible. And it's because of that love that he has for his community. So just remember that wherever you might be in your life, keep a relationship with that one being, because he is going to be the savior for everything, for all of your calamities. His prayers are the ones that will safeguard you. But coming back from that, so Hazur kind of gave me the initiative that, so whenever you come, write something up and bring it to me. So I started taking, every mulaqat that we had. And alhamdulillah, Jame students, they are able to have mulaqat with Hazur, every, they're able to have 3 to 4 mulaqats every year. So now from the third year, I was taking these pieces of calligraphy, one after the other mulaqat to Hazur. Hazur would look at it. If there were any corrections that would need to be made, he would, then instruct me that, you've missed out this, why is this, what have you written? Okay, this is wrong. And just, from that, you realize that the eye that Hazur has for art is incredible. The level of detail that Hazur goes into, whether it's symmetry, whether it's, the shapes of the words, the most intricate things that a naked eye could not see, Hazur was able to just spot it without the aid of anything. Hazur's instantly just, right, yeah, you've got this wrong. All right, what's this? This should be slightly different. Anyways, so I was doing this, and of course, alhamdulillah, very fortunate to have Hazur's guidance in this case. So my personal desire, my desire had been for a long time that, I really, really wish that Hazur, accepts one of these calligraphies and keeps it, because I would go with the intention that I am presenting this to Hazur as a gift, as a token of, I wouldn't say of course a token of love, but also as a gesture of gratitude that Hazur, you've done so much for me. So this is a small gesture of saying thanks to you. So I would just pray every time that, oh Allah, make such means that Hazur accepts this small gift. And I would take it. And I remember once Hazur said to me that, I know you bring this for me, but I know that if you give this to me, I will end up gifting this to someone else. So now that you have given it to me, I'm gifting it back to you. So take this and go put it on your wall. So this mulaqat happened, and a few days later, I think 3-4 days later, we had a family mulaqat. So we went in the family mulaqat, and the first thing Hazur asked me is that, Maulvi, I told you to put up the calligraphy on your wall. Did you do so? And Alhamdulillah, very luckily, I had done it before. The day I had gone back to home, I had put it up on my wall. So I replied with affirmation that I have done so. So just to see that Hazur Hazur remembers everything, and he is able to remember that I said this to this person, and to recall that at that particular moment is just incredible. Anyway, so I was still in this thing, in this desire that may Allah Ta'ala, open such means or make such means where Hazur accepts it. In my 6th year, when Hazur had gone to Canada, he had a very successful tour in Canada, and Alhamdulillah, Hazur, gave addresses to the parliament, and Hazur had this very famous interview with the journalist there, Peter Mansbridge, I think his name was. And it was a very successful tour, alhamdulillah. So when Hazur returned, our mulaqat started, and I wrote, Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina, that surely we have granted you a very open victory, or an apparent, illustrious victory. So I took this in, and Hazur just looked at it, and Hazur said, Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. Maulvi, you've made a prophecy. And I didn't understand, and I still do not understand what Hazur meant by this. But Hazur was very happy to see, these words. And Hazur looked at it and he put it on the side. And this was the first time that Hazur had accepted it, and he kept it. And it just took me by surprise. I remember just sitting there in awe of Hazrat Sahib, and just what just had happened. This desire that I had in my heart for so many years, for 4 years, 3-4 years, I was able to witness it, and I was just completely spellbound. I had no words. Hazur was asking me to speak, and I could not speak. It was as if my cheeks had just, stuck with the super glue, and I couldn't even move. I didn't have the power to speak, and my emotional state was such that I was just in shock. And Hazur was, and the love that Hazur shows, the way Hazur started speaking to me after that was that Hazur was trying to calm me down, that it's okay, don't worry. I understand you're in shock, but you need to speak to me. So Hazur started speaking about different things, just to get me back to reality that, this is not a dream. Anyways, mulaqat finished, and a few days later, someone else had gone to mulaqat, and they called me and said, Zafri, did you write Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina for Hazur? I was like, yeah, I did. How do you know? Hazur's put it up in his office.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, that is crazy. How is this even possible? All right, Hazur's kept it, but that's what I was, that was my personal desire, that Hazur just kept it. Then he can do whatever he wants to do with it, as long as he keeps it. But then to find out that Hazur's put it in his office, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, I don't believe it. I just don't believe you. You're just chatting absolute, air to me. You're chatting breeze to me. I just don't believe you. 2-3 people had told me that this has happened, and I just could not believe it. Anyways, then I had a mulaqat. I tried to look at the place where Hazur had kept it, but I just couldn't, raise my eyes. But then I remember then I had a family mulaqat, and Hazur then there just speaking to my siblings and my parents. Hazur said, Acha, so who does calligraphy amongst you? And with a very broad smile on his face, as if he knew the answer, that of course I was doing the calligraphy. So Hazur was like, so who does calligraphy amongst you guys? And I put my hand up, like, you've been giving me a lot of these things, huh? I didn't have space, but I've put yours up there. And he showed my parents that, look, I've put his calligraphy up in my office. And that's the first time I saw it, and it was just, it was phenomenal. Again, I was just, And again, I know that that wasn't the best calligraphy that, it wasn't the best calligraphy. It didn't look the greatest, but Hazur's love went far beyond that. And even though it wasn't something professional, it was something that, I had, and I'm not a professional, I'm an amateur. Even at that time, I was still learning. I'm still learning. Of course, the more you practice, you get better. But at that time, I was just doodling around, didn't know any ins and outs of calligraphy. And at that moment, Hazur kept it and put it in his office, and that was like it was like a dream come true. So Hazrat Sahib always supported me to do calligraphy, and whenever I took things to him, he appreciated it a lot. And I think with the prayers of Hazur Anwar, many doors were opened for me in this regard.
I think your love for Khilafat is, you can't even explain it, but it's coming out through just your emotions showing us now. And it's incredible that connection you made with Hazur, and just the fact that he opened that door to you to encourage you to carry on doing it when you thought yourself, I'm not good enough. Yeah.
But the one thing I'm saying, one thing I want to say is that people who think about Jamia, who go to Jamia or think to go Jamia. One thing I want you to know is that I'm not a special person. And nor do I regard myself as Hazur's beloved. I don't regard myself as Hazur's beloved. But one thing that I want to tell you is that Hazur loves each and every single Jamia student, and beyond that, Hazur loves each and every single Ahmadi. Ask any Jamia student, any Murabbi that has passed out from Jamia UK, he will tell you that he will feel that Hazur loves me the most. There's no Jamia student that can get up and say that Hazur doesn't love them. Every person in his own view thinks that Hazur loves me the most, and this is the quality of Hazur, that he makes you feel the most special in that moment, and it feels as if there's no one else besides you who's closest to Hazur. You can even testify that for yourself, that the relationship that you have with Khilafat, it feels like as if no one else has that relationship with Hazur. And this is the beauty of Khilafat, that out of so many million people, each and every single person who meets Hazur, they feel that Hazur only belongs to them, and they are the only people in the world that Hazur cares about.
Zafri, amazing. I just wanted to just share this picture with everyone. I thought it was such a beautiful picture. You sent this to me. Could you just explain how did this happen? Most people, they know that we stand up and take pictures, but in Jamia, we know we do things a bit different. We don't want Hazur to burden himself. We want him to sit down. So what happened here in this beautiful picture with Hazur?
So this picture, this was when, I think I was in my 6th year or 5th year, one of the two. I think I believe it was the 6th year. And Hazur, of course, the thing is, the way Hazur expresses love is that, Hazur doesn't really get up for us when we go, and we wouldn't want Hazur to get up for us when we go to see him. So I asked Hazur if I asked him that I haven't had a picture in a long time, Hazur, and I would like to, it was my desire. But in fact, Hazur himself, it was my desire that I get a picture. And Hazur himself said that, Mubashar, when's the last time you've had a picture? And I said, a long time ago. Acha, chalo aajo, come then. So Hazur was sitting down, and I asked Hazur, shall I stand up or shall I sit down? I was like, well, whatever. And Hazur pulled my hand down, as if to say that, sit down. So then I sat, and then Hazur then told Ghalib Sahib, I believe it was, to take the picture. So this was one picture that, again, Hazur, it was as if Hazur had my desire the desire of my heart, and kind of translated it out to me that, okay, come take a picture with me. So yeah.
It's truly beautiful. And every time I see Hazur's picture, it just reminds me of my days of how I used to have that one-on-one meeting with him. And we long for that. We wish we had those times again, but we realized that those times he was using it to prepare us for afterwards.
Yeah.
We use that, that love of missing him to work harder where we are in our field of work. Zafri, time is getting short, and you've talked so much about your calligraphy. everyone is probably thinking, where is his calligraphy? What has he actually done? So, guys, I'm just gonna share his page on Instagram, which is Zafri_19. Make sure you follow him. So here's some of your work. I don't know where to start because as soon as I saw it, I was just, I was just in awe of everything you're doing. So how far do I go down? Because it seems you've done a lot of work.
Okay, I think there's a lot of stuff on there as well. So yeah, the first two pictures at the bottom, they are the ones that are done in Jamia. So
Okay.
this was the Jamia Mosque, and I was given the opportunity to write verse of the Holy Quran in the mosque. So the first three pictures are from that.
Yeah. And how's that feeling? Getting asked to do the calligraphy of a mosque,
It's
from
phenomenal. It's it's like, again, it's a dream come true. It's a huge honor. Writing the name of Allah, the words of Allah in the place or in the house of Allah. It's such a huge honor, and a blessing that cannot be described. I don't have words to actually tell you how I felt. Um, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
That's the most I can say.
This as well
Um,
is the mihrab of the mosque in Jamia.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. This is towards the end of our Jamia time, wasn't it?
This
Last
is, yeah. This is, I think, fourth year. I was in my fourth year. So yeah, there's some sketching that I've done. I don't know if you guys have seen Breaking Bad, but this is like charcoal um, charcoal drawing of Heisenberg. But yeah, so if you go to Astaghfirullah, this Astaghfirullah here.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, so just for our brothers. So this is a qalam that you can see at the bottom. That's what I use to do the calligraphy. And then of course normal ink. So this is the tool that is used.
Interesting, very interesting. And as I can see a lot of different
And then,
types of calligraphy here. So could we
yeah.
touch on the different styles of calligraphy that you've picked up along the way?
So yeah, so the main stuff. So this Rabbi Zidni Ilma is a Nastaliq font. It's a more of a Persian and subcontinent's style. So that's more of a Pakistani style of writing. Then if you go up, that Rabbi Zidni Ilma, Waqur Rabbi Zidni Ilma, the multicolored one,
Yeah.
next to MTA on the left. Yeah, that's Sulus Jali. Again, this is when I was learning a lot about it. I wasn't too good at it back then. Then the Allahu Akbar on the right side, that's not Alhamdulillah, the Allahu Akbar on the other side, the red and gold and the pearl. This is Divani style. Again, it's a Turkish style. It's from the Ottoman times. Yeah. So if you keep
just
going
remind
up,
this Sahib is just Jama student, just like myself, but he picked this passion up himself, and mashallah, as the pictures go higher and higher, you can see him much getting even better and better every time.
that Inna Fatahna Laka Fatan Mubina, that's the one I was talking about. This is the one that I gave to Hazrat Sahib, and that's the one that he put in his office. This one.
This one.
Yeah.
Mashallah. Yeah, this reminds me of our time in Turkey when we got our names written.
Yeah.
Style is quite very, very similar, mashallah. And is this the same? This is a different one. This is more of a Farsi kind of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Definitely.
This is another prophecy of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of his. This is one of his revelations that he had. And then if we keep going up to the final one, that last one.
This one.
That also, yes, that also I made for subs. If you keep scrolling, I mean, if you go to the next image on there, because no, they're not there on the that one. So there's different angles. So it just shows from how you get from. So this was the first draft. So this was the first draft. Then I kind of done it with pencil, and then of course I done it with qalam. I made the changes and finally did the final piece, which is right at the front. Yeah, so this was the final piece then that I made.
MashaAllah. It's beautiful stuff. Zafri Sahib, I don't know what to say. Even though I've spent 7 years with you, just seeing your work, I find it just amazing how someone could have just developed that much in their own passion. And that's the idea that I wanted just to show everyone is, we are Murabbis, but we also have our own passions. And Zafri Saab, this is quite clearly your passion, and you've been able. How have the doors opened for you for in terms of other works? Have you? I know you mentioned Al Qalam. How have you helped them in their work, and have you been able to guide other people?
So Al
Um,
Qalam wasn't too much of a calligraphy thing. That was more of helping out with the writing of the Holy Quran, the initiative that Rizwan Beg Sahib has taken. Sorry about that. So that's the initiative that Rizwan Beg Sahib took to have the whole Quran written by different people. And of course, during Zilsa Salana, I was given the opportunity to help them out with that. That was a very unique experience to see the Quran being written by Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Um, People from all sorts of backgrounds, people who could not read or write Arabic to people who were very proficient in Arabic. So that was a very unique experience. And it was something that I would remember for the rest of my life. But as far as calligraphy is concerned, I was able to do the London Book Fair, where I was able to do calligraphy for the guests that came to our stalls for free. Done their names, whoever they wanted to be done that. Then got opportunity to do different, some mosques. The Bethlehem Mosque, I was able to do some calligraphy there. Then when I went to Africa, I was able to do calligraphy in the big mosque there.
wow.
And just here and there, designing some logos, designing some emblems. The Al Hakam emblem, the Arabic, I was given the opportunity to do something for that, and alhamdulillah, that was approved by Huzur Ahmad. Then also stuff for MTA. So alhamdulillah, the avenues have opened up quite a fair amount with the blessings of Allah Ta'ala. Of course, none of it is my own endeavors. None of them are my own endeavors, and nor did I ever desire to have a platform. This is something that was quite personal to me, and I wanted to keep it exclusive to myself and Hazur, and just to keep it in my personal space. But of course, Allah has other plans. So those doors have opened, and it's our sheer blessings of Khilafat that this has, taken shape.
Yeah, I always find it amazing. We've had a few talks, Murabbi Fatir Saab coming on, Murabbi Noor Hadi Saab as well. And we always end up just talking about Khilafat. And we start to realize that, Huzur is actually everything. If Huzur wasn't
Yeah,
there in our life, we wouldn't have
he is
been able to
everything. He
develop
is
that.
everything. I mean, in these hard times, you really truly realize and understand how the Ahmadis in other countries feel. We are so close yet so far from Hazur. He's just what 40 minutes from London, right? But we can't even go and see him or even pray behind him. And the longing sort of it's getting greater and greater and greater. The yearning of seeing him is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And you truly realize, understand the sort of emotions and ideas and feelings that the other Ahmadis have around the world, how they long to see Hazur. It's the sort of same thing that we are feeling now. And of course, our life, our entire life revolves around Khilafat. So of course, it is it's the greatest part of our lives. We Allah Ta'ala, wouldn't say misfortunate, but we have not been able to see the time or an era of a prophet. When a prophet comes, Allah Ta'ala descends so many blessings and so many, he showers the earth with his, grace. And the coming of a prophet it's a sort of a revolution for the world. But we can say that we have been blessed to see the era and time of a Khalifa, and the Khalifa and of the time continues to bring those blessings that Allah Ta'ala bestowed upon the Messiah, the Prophet. So though we haven't seen a prophet, but we have seen the effects of a prophet through the scope of Khilafat. And again, we're so blessed to be part of that community who's able to experience that. Sorry, my son, we can't hear
That's
you.
incredible. Sorry, I think I was on mute. I was saying some good stuff, don't worry. But Zafri Saab, it's been incredible talk. Honestly, I can't put it into words. Maybe I could put it into paintings afterwards. But it's been really insightful for myself, and I feel like I've gone one step closer to you. And we stayed with each other 7 years, but we never actually asked each other, why did you go to Jammu? Why did you go to Jammu? It was just we went with the flow. But I'm sure we can talk for many more hours. But the time is very short, and a few people have got a few questions for you as well, Zafri. So,
Yep.
guys, if you guys can just pop your questions up, Zaryab, Amr, if you guys have any questions, just you can turn your mics on now and ask Zafri Sab, please.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, Mubashar. I've got a bit of a random question, which is, what language do you write your letters in to Azur?
Myself.
Yeah.
So I have always written my letters in Urdu. It's a habit that was instilled in me from my parents. So my mother taught me Urdu from a very young age. So I've always been writing letters to Huzur in Urdu. But if there's ever been a point in life where I felt that I can't express myself in Urdu and I can express myself in English, I have written to Huzur once or twice in English where I felt that I can't express myself or my emotions via the scope or means of Urdu, then I've written it in English.
Oh, okay, exactly.
I think just on top of that, we all have our own relationship with beloved Huzur,
Yeah.
and everyone expresses their love in different ways.
Yeah.
Zafri doesn't just write letters; he writes paintings as well. So that's another form of his language of displaying his love for the Khilafat. So everyone has their own relationship, and I know even with children, Huzur loves when children draw pictures to him, or even just scribble
Scribbles,
down.
yeah.
I remember I did that with my son. I even shared it with you guys a few months ago. It was almost a year ago actually, of my son just scribbling, and then I wrote in the corner saying this. He's basically saying I love you, Huzur. So Huzur really loves those little gestures, and that's the connection which we want to always have with Huzur. That we show our personality to him through these ways. Amr, did you have anything to say as well? On top of that, I know you just sent me a picture of yourself with Huzur.
Can you share screen that? I don't mind, and I can.
Yeah, let me just show that. Do you want to explain that as well? On the topic of Khilafat and our love for Khilafat. Yeah, just tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, so this was my first ever. We usually have a family mulaqat, and this was I think 2 years ago. So my last mulaqat actually, because after that Hazur changed the markaz to Islamabad, and my first ever the one-to-one, and you can see in my hand. Me and Hazur were talking, and he reached out. He reached out in his drawer, and I was just thinking, like, what's he gonna pull out? So what you see there in my hand is his personal handkerchief, and as usual, a pen. So that's what I'm holding in my hand, and I was shocked as well, as you were saying earlier, Mubashar, right? How, like, when something like this happens and to you in front of Hazur, you're lost for words, and I couldn't even talk. And the next thing and I remember that the next thing that the Hazur goes to me was, you want to take a picture. So he made me stand up, and he held my hand. So, and then we took the picture. So.
I think that's the thing as well as Zafri Sab, you mentioned it as well. Like Khilafat is for everyone, and everyone always thinks that Huzur's mine. He's my personal friend. He's only I have a relationship with him. But then we realize we talked to other Khudam, talked to other people. You realize like, oh my God, Huzur is actually he's got that same relationship with the next person just next to me, which is very beautiful to see for all of us. And that's when we really realized that how much Khilafat does for the world, and just thinking about each and every person. I remember on my wedding day, I'll just share this with you guys. Just before leaving the table, Azul just got there's refresher cloths that they give, the ones that smell nice, the scented ones. Azul just cut it in half without even me saying anything. Just cut it in half with his hands. He used one half and he gave me the other half and said, "Take this and use it." And I was like, why Huzur didn't have to do that. He didn't have to think about me. He could have used that himself and for his own hand. But he just thought about me and said, take this. And that in itself shows that how much love he really has in his heart, and he thinks about others all the time. So Jazakallah Amr for sharing that picture. And Zafri Saab, I'm sure we're going to have a conversation after this call as well about how we could have said more. We could have mentioned other things, but I think it should suffice for today. Maybe we'll do a part 2 some other time. But
Inshallah, inshallah.
Jazakallah so much for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule.
Jazakallah for having me. Jazakallah.